So today we want to talk about the number one question that we get asked all the time from businesses. So welcome everybody for following us and joining us today. The question that we get asked all the time, this is such a standard question, is which sites should my company be on for social media? Should I be on Facebook? Should I be on Instagram? Should I do Snapchat, Twitter? What sites should I make sure that my company is on? The answer to that question that I always give is it depends. The reason I give that is because that's actually not the right answer to be asking for your business. Because the real answer that you want to go after is, where are my customers? So who are your customers and where are they on social media? That is the most important question that you should be asking. So let's talk about this in a little bit more detail as we go along today. And if you have questions about where you should be on social media or how you can utilize social for your business, let us know in the comment section. We'd love to answer your questions as much as we can today. So when we talk about finding your customers, there's a few questions that you want to make sure you can answer about your customers. So one thing that you want to answer, of course, is who are your customers? And this, I ask businesses this all the time. Who are your customers? Who are the people that you want to buy from? A lot of times businesses will answer me and say, well, my customer is anybody with a, whatever it is. You know, if you're a lawn care service, my customer is anybody with a lawn. Or if you are, a car dealership, my customer is anybody who needs a car, or whatever it is. And the reality is that's too broad. That's not really the right answer. Oftentimes, if you're answering that answer by just saying anybody who has a whatever, then there's one or two possibilities. One is you really don't know who your customer is, and you haven't really done the research to figure out who it is. The second thing that's less common, thankfully, is that you're in business and don't really know how to do the marketing, how to get out there and get to the people. You're just scrambling for job after job after job to make it work. And so we want to be a little bit more on purpose in thinking about who is it we're going after with our marketing. Because you only have so many marketing dollars that you can spend. And because of that limited resource, you want to realize that if you spend those in the right way, then you get more money back, which means you have more money to spend on marketing. So there should be this cycle that your marketing budget goes through. And if it's not doing this, then the marketing's going out, but you're not getting a return, which means you're running out of your marketing budget, which means it's going to put a downward pressure on your business. Can I work for your company? Sure, let's talk afterwards. Send me a private message and on Facebook or something, and let's talk. The thing that's important to realize is understanding who that customer is. The more you know your customer, the more you know who they are, what they like, where they are, then the better you can serve them. Because you're not trying to get to everybody. You're trying to get to a small portion, of the market that you can serve really, really well. So let's talk a little bit more about this. We build a buyer persona. So this is what they're called, a buyer persona. So sit down and document as much information as you can about the ideal customer for your business. What is their age? Some businesses, age makes a difference on the type of customer you're going after. What is that age? And that's important. Even just an age range is good. But what is the age of that customer that you want to go after? Are they male or female? Does it matter? Do you go after both of them? That's another thing to look at, because that'll change how you do your marketing and wording in your content. Where do they live? What are the zip codes that they live in, or the cities that you draw your customer base from? That is important because that'll give you more insight into where you should be doing marketing to connect with them. How do they find information? How do they learn about stuff in their life? Are there certain types of professions or careers that your customers have? Are there hobbies and interests that your customers have? All this information is very vital to helping you and improve your marketing. So this is one of the things that we do up front with a business, is we take them through this creating a buyer persona because it gives us as marketers an opportunity to say, okay, here's really who this business wants to go after. So when we create content, this is the type of person we want to be going after. So this helps tremendously. So document this information, gather it together, and think about, if you don't have this information, then go back and think about all the customers you have. What are their ages? What genders are they? What kind of things are they interested in? And you can start to see patterns and go, oh, you know, there's a certain type of group that we seem to cater to a lot of, or that comes in all the time to work with us. Those are your buyer personas. Now, as a business, you can have several different buyer personas. Okay, so an example of this, restaurants, maybe you go after the working class people in the local geographic area within a few miles of your restaurant, because you want to catch people who are going out on their lunch break or who want to do a lunch meeting. You want them to come in. So maybe that's a buyer persona, is the lunch workers. And so you want to catch them as they come through and are looking for lunch. Maybe you want people in the evening times, or more couples. Maybe they're a little bit older or something like that to help you. It just depends on who you're going after, who you're catering for. And if you have a catering business as a restaurant, then that could be different, because now you're looking for people who are getting married, people who have events, corporate events. You could cater as well, so that's different than someone who's just going to come in for lunch versus someone who's coming in for dinner that night. So isolate those out. Those buyer personas will help tremendously in improving your marketing. And so to relate this to the question of where should I be on social media, the more you know about your customers, the more you can realize which sites are they on, and be on the sites that your customers are on. That is the most important thing. So your business, there isn't an ideal site for a business to be on, other than where are your customers. So let's talk about a few things here, because different types of people gravitate to different social media sites. So follow along with us on this and comment on this as well. When we look at age range, age does determine which social sites are these people on. So if we're looking from the teenage years up to about 25, 26, you're most likely going to find those people by age on Snapchat and Instagram. That's where they're doing a lot more of their posting and commenting and connecting with people. So that's going to tell you something if you're trying to reach out to those people. Now, that group of people still has a presence on Facebook. They're still there, but they're not posting and connecting as much there. That's more about finding information from other people, connecting with other family, and so forth. So they're going to be more on these more one-on-one, intimate interaction type sites, where you're more specific and organic with your content. Now, if you're going after, let's say around your 30s, late 20s, early 30s, up into your 40s, then Facebook is a good place to be. If they're more on a professional level, then Twitter is a good place to be as well for them. If you're going after the 45 to say 60 and up group, so people that are nearing retirement age or are getting close to that age, Facebook and Twitter are really good places to be for them. They're not super active people. In fact, when you get it from about 55 and up, most of those people are not posters. They don't contribute to social media typically. They consume it because they're there to see their children and their grandchildren and other family members that they can stay in touch with. They do some very specific interaction with those people, but they don't necessarily post and broadcast all the time. So just realize that there's habits and behaviors. If we were to break down social media sites by income levels of the typical person on there, the thing you have to look for is if it's people that make probably around 50,000 and less, then Facebook is very common, very, very common place for them to be. Twitter is still good for people in the lower income brackets. Instagram as well. They're still in those areas connecting and sharing, but Facebook's the biggest part for them. If you want to get into people who have a little bit more income, then you start to bleed more into Twitter. to get with them. If you want high income, like 75,000 and up, then what you want to do is look at LinkedIn. That's going to be a better place to go, is LinkedIn, because that's more of a professional network. People that make more than $75,000 a year typically are in a professional business. They are professionals, doctors, lawyers, businessmen, executives, and so they tend to do a little bit more on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So even income can determine which sites should you be on. Education levels will determine this as well. If it's usually high school and maybe some college, Facebook, again, Instagram, those sites as well. Twitter is good for that group as well as even for people who've been through college. On LinkedIn, you're going to get more college and graduate school education as well on there. So there's things that will coincide with those demographics. And even geographics makes a difference on which sites you should consider being on based on your customers. So cities, major metropolitan areas tend to be a little bit busier on Instagram as well as Twitter, whereas Facebook's okay, but the people that have a busy lifestyle, they're active, they're going places, they're doing things, they tend to look for social sites that are very, very mobile friendly. So Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter are better. So those are great places to be as well. If you're looking more rural, you'll get a little bit more into Facebook. Pinterest is a good one. Pinterest is huge gender-wise. You'll find a lot more on Pinterest as far as women connecting on there versus men. Men are still represented on Pinterest, but just not quite as much. So if you guys have questions about where your customers are on social media, that's what we're here to answer for you today to work with. So thanks everybody again for following us and watching us. So the more you know of your customers, the better. That is the major determining factor as to which social media sites you should be on. And so find them. So if you don't have any information on your customers, let's talk a little bit about how you can gather that information. One is if you have a lot of past customers, you can look back on those transactions and think about who are these people, especially if you know these customers. If they're repeat customers or you see them a lot or interact with them a lot, you can start to get some ideas of what is the age, what is the gender, what is interests of these people, what kind of income do they usually have in order to afford working with us. All those things can play in. So you can look back on past transactions and start getting some rough ideas. A great way to do it is to do customer surveys. These are things that are very recommended to do, especially in retail situations where you have lots of transactions happening, even online. You're not quite sure who the people are all the time. Gather this information in. So a customer survey can simply be have a little card in your store if you have a storefront, or if you go talk to people in their locations like a service-based company, plumbers, lawn care services, other things. When you go to the home of your customers or their business to do your work for them, have a little card, a little 3x5 card that just says, hey, we're trying to gather some information on our customers to get some ideas of who our customer is. Would you mind filling this out? So you can do these anonymously. So you're asking for age, or have like an age range that they can click on, have gender they can click on, what are hobbies and interests that you have, what is your zip code. So you can get generalized information that's somewhat anonymous to pull this together and start correlating some of these trends. Now, it would be good at some point to do another survey or a contest or some way to capture personal information about your customers. So this is where you can do a giveaway, you can run a contest or something, people enter to win, which means you're capturing their name, their phone number, and their email address, as well as maybe even zip code or other things so you can identify and contact them. It's a great way to look at building your email list for email marketing. So those are great ones to do. Do a really good incentive to really motivate people to do that one. That helps a lot. So gather this information in. You don't have to ask the customer all this name, name, phone number, email, what is their age, what is their gender, what is it, if they have to fill out this big form, you're going to have a hard time getting adoption. So if you can anonymize the more personal information about them, is good, and then capture their information later is fine. Because you'll eventually do some correlation between those by overlaying, okay, on this zip code, here's the list of customers that exist in the zip code, and here's the typical demographic of these people. That can still give you some information to work with. So you don't have to directly correlate them both and have all that, have like a customer profile on each person with all their contact and personal information. People are a little leery about those. So if you can anonymize it, break into a couple different surveys to gather it all in is a great way to get the data without your customers feeling like you're asking too many questions of them. You know, another way, if you have a website that has services on it or a mobile app that you use for your business, consider doing a Facebook login. This is another way to pull this in, because you can look at their profile when they log in as Facebook. You can actually see not just their friends list, but you can look at their address. You can capture their personal information. You can pull some of the interests and hobbies and stuff they have off of their Facebook page, which can give you some demographic information to build some profiles with later. That's another way to do it. That's a little bit more of an electronic way, or do an electronic survey you can email to your customers to gather some information from them. So just think of what are good experiments based upon your business that you could be doing that would help in capturing this information. Once you have it pulled together, then you can start to look at who is my customer. What are the different types of demographics of my customer? What are the things that are interesting about this, and how can we correlate this to find patterns and find things that'll make a big difference in our marketing? So thanks for joining us today. If you guys have other questions on how to connect with your customer base, how to find who your customer is, let us know. We love to answer these questions and help you with your online marketing. So gather that information on your customer, and really even go deeper into understanding your buyer personas will help you with your content marketing, as well as why do people buy and why do people not buy. Those are very good questions to ask. What are the biggest concerns that you have, that your customers have in buying from you? What are the reasons people tell you no? Understand those, because now you can take those and start looking at how can we answer that? How can we put that in our sales presentation to answer those questions? How can we put out content on our social media sites to answer that question before it ever comes up? Because if you answer the question before it ever arises in the customer's mind, then it's not a problem. There's no question, no issues there. So think those things through. Who is that customer? Where do they live? What can I learn about them? And then that will give you advice and tips on which sites should you be on, as well as helping you understand what types of content should you be putting out there on your social media sites. So think about this and look at how can we grow our followings on our social sites based upon that demographic and that information, and double check it. Go back and double check it to make sure you're attracting the right people to your sites. If you're not, you're going to have some ineffective times on social media, which is going to run out your marketing budget. It's going to cost you problems and money that you do not want to be spending, because it's not going to be effective. So I know we've talked about in the past clients that we've worked with that we went to their Facebook page, they were totally going after the wrong demographic on Facebook. And they were shocked as to why they weren't getting their online purchases working. And we went and looked at it and realized that the people they're connecting with on Facebook are not the ones that will buy from them. So they had a completely wrong demographic. So we helped them, without changing their following, we helped them put different content out that would attract the right people and discourage the wrong people from being a part of their following, thus making it more efficient so that they can grow their online sales. And it was working great. It was really helping them to grow their business and their online sales. So think those things through and look at those. Hello, thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. So think about those things, because they're going to be important to help you in understanding which sites to be on for your business. Know your customer. The more you know about your customer, the better. And the more you know about the problem that you solve with your customer, the better for your business anyways. So get to know the customer, get to know the problem that you're solving for them and how it's influencing their life. And that will help you dramatically increase your odds of having success in business. So thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you guys being on for another episode of Smart TV.